And now let me give you a little philosophy that can help turn life around. Here it is. It's not what happens that determines the quality or quantity of your life. It's not what happens. And the reason is simple. What happens happens to everybody. No different. The sun went down on all of us last night. A common event, just a happening. And I've learned that the same things can happen to two different people. One gets rich and the other stays poor. Why? Because it's not what happens, but what you do that makes all the difference. That's the key phrase. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in parentheses here. Same, but what people do. That's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've lived some of them. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long. Happenings. Anything can happen. Have you heard of Murphy's Law? Anybody? Okay, most of you have. Murphy had these laws. One of them was, if anything can go wrong, it will. That's one of Murphy's laws. Now, he wasn't exactly one of the great positive thinkers of the day, but still, it's true, right? Anything can go wrong. Everything can go wrong. I've fallen out of the sky so many times, once to the tune of a couple million. Devastating. Took me a while to survive that one. Now, it wasn't all that much, but it was all I had. And when it's all you've got, that's when it's much, right? If you've got 3 and you lose 2, you've still got 1. That's not too bad. But when it all goes, has anybody been there? When it all went? Anybody? Come on, the rest of you. Liars! We've all been there, right? When it all went. Of course, it used to be a long time ago that when you hit 0, you were done. But now, heck, now you can whistle right past 0. They'll even bury you in debt. But see, those are just happenings, right? Anything can happen. Everything can happen. But it's not the happenings. It's what you do about them. Someone says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on, everybody's had their share. Disappointments aren't some special gift reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about them. It's not the weather. I used to blame the weather. But then I realized it rains on the rich too. So that won't help. 2 men wake up one morning. There's a rainstorm. One guy looks out his window, sees the rain, and says, wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect me to go out and make sales. So he stays home. Same morning, another guy looks out his window, sees the same storm, and says, wow, what a storm. But you know what? With weather like this, what a great day to make sales. Most people will be home, especially the salespeople. See, that's the difference in how life turns out. It's not what happens, it's what you do. So, here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do? Starting tomorrow, that'll make a difference. Now, if you don't do something starting tomorrow, that'll make a difference. Guess what? It's going to be the same. And that means you can guess what the next 5 years will be like. Just look at the last 5, because the next 5 will be just like them. Unless you change it all, or change a little. Change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know that any day you wish, you can change your whole life. What can you do starting tomorrow? That'll make a difference. Good question. What can you do with economic chaos? Massive disappointment. What can you do with a broken heart? What can you do when nothing seems to work? Good question. Now, here's why money is an easy measure. It's easy to count. Let's count. See, nothing beats the truth. You don't need to mess with the truth. It's dynamic in exposing our mistakes and helping us set up new disciplines to change everything. Starting today, starting overnight, starting anytime. Now sure, you could wait a couple of years to start a plan, but why not start now? Some people wrestle with a big question. I had to myself, is it okay to strive for wealth? Is it okay to want to be rich? Is it okay to go for it? I had to come to grips with that. Some people say, well, it'd be better to renounce all worldly goods and just live a simple life. Poverty, affects spiritual life. And that's one concept. But here's another. Try this on for size. If you could do better, should you? That's an interesting thought to consider. Why leave the biggest part of your life unexplored in terms of personal development and what you could achieve, whether in the marketplace or at home as a father? Some say, well, I'm not aiming to be rich. I don't think that's a healthy goal. Everyone wrestles with that, and I understand. But here's a simple, practical conclusion. There's no reason you can't accumulate enough resources to be financially independent. Lydia Kahn invested $1 in her business, selling a product she believed in. Her first investment, desperation. She said, my kids are hungry. I have to make this work. If this doesn't work, what will I do? That's called great incentive. My friend Bill Bailey moved to Chicago as a teenager after high school. His first job, night janitor. Someone asked Bill, why would you settle for that? His answer, malnutrition. When you're hungry, you work wherever you can. Night janitor, it doesn't matter. Now he's rich. He's financially independent. But his first job, night janitor. Here's Lydia's next investment determination. First, she said, I must find something. Desperation. Then, I will find someone before this day is over. Sure enough, she did. She thought, if it works once, it'll work again. But the next person said no next. What must you invest next? Courage. Courage is more valuable than money. If you have $1 and a lot of courage, you have a future. Humans have done the most incredible things in spite of obstacles. Haven't we heard the stories? You can't sell people short. Courage isn't about because of, it's in spite of. Once Lydia sold 3 or 4, what took over? Ambition. If I can sell 3, if I can sell 33, I can sell 1 on 3. Now she was dazzled by her own dreams. Next, faith. She started to believe, I have a great product. This is a good company. Then she believed in herself. Lydia, single mother, kids, no job, said, I'm going to make this happen. Her self-esteem soared. These are investments money can't match. What if you had $1 million but no courage? You'd be poor. Here's why Lydia became a millionaire: ingenuity. She put her brain to work. Most people use only a fraction of their brain power. What if you employed the other 90%? Humans are capable of the most incredible ideas. Ingenuity is worth a fortune, more valuable than money. All you need is $1 and plenty of ingenuity. Figure it out. Make it work. Next, heart and soul. What's the substitute for heart and soul? Money. No, money can't buy them, and without them, life is empty. $1 million without heart and soul is meaningless. But heart and soul, that's magic. It moves people to buy, to decide, to take action. Next, personality. You already have one, just sharpen it. Develop it so it's effective every day. No matter who you talk to, a child, a business person, the rich, the poor. Unique personality thrives anywhere. Finally, the ultimate investment, charisma. The ultimate sophistication. Charisma with a touch of humility. Everything on that list is more valuable than money. With just $1 and these qualities, the world is yours. Whatever part of it you desire, whatever future you dream of, it's within reach. You don't lack resources, but not mentally, not financially. For 24 years, people have asked me, how do you develop an above average income? The answer, become an above average person. Develop an above average handshake. Some people want success but don't even work on a handshake. Just that easy to start, yet they let it slide. They don't understand. Develop an above average smile. Develop an above average excitement. Develop an above average interest in other people. Develop an above average intensity to win. See, that changes everything. One of the most frustrating experiences in life is searching for an above average job with above average pay without becoming an above average person. That's called frustration. And Mr. Sh gave me one of the greatest clues when I first met him. He said, Billy, if you want to be wealthy and happy for the rest of your life, just learn this lesson well. He said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Then the Shees gave me another important clue. One of the many things he taught me. But in those early days, he was very kind yet also very direct. He had these interesting questions to ask. I was giving him a little rundown one day on how things hadn't worked out for me. He said, I've got the answer for you. If you'll listen carefully, I did that day and for the next 5 years, if somebody is wealthy and happy, you have to listen. He said, Billy, I've only known you a short time, but it's already my honest opinion that for things to change for you, you have to change. That wasn't quite the answer I was looking for, but it was the answer he gave me. And I pass it along to you on this warm summer evening in Anaheim, California, 1981 for things to change for you, you have to change. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. Before I met Mr. Shetch, I used to say, I sure hope things will change. That seemed to be my only hope. If things weren't going to change, I was in serious trouble. Then I discovered they weren't going to change. So I was in serious trouble. See, I can tell you what the 80s are going to be like. You've come to the right place. I once did a seminar for Standard Oil executives in Honolulu. We were at a big conference table, and one of them asked me, Mr. Rohn, you know some fairly important people around the world. What do you think the 80s are going to be like? I said, gentlemen, I do know the right people, and I can tell you. They all leaned in carefully. Then I said, based on my wide experience, I can honestly say, the 80s are going to be about like it's always been. Aren't you glad you came? That's inside information. I don't just pass that around everywhere. Of course, I said that to make a point, but I also said it because it's true. It's going to be about like it's always been. It isn't going to change. The tide comes in, and then what? It goes out. That's been happening for 500 years of recorded history, and probably long before that. It gets light, and then what, Doc? Is 6,500 years. It's not likely to change, and we shouldn't be startled by that. If the sun goes down and someone says, what's happening? It means they haven't been here long, right? The sun always goes down about this time. Someone says, well, I don't like that arrangement. Well, you'll have to talk to someone besides me about that. It gets light, then dark, in rotation. And what comes after fall, winter, every year, regularly, for the last 500 years, we know it isn't going to change. Now, some winters are long, some are short, some are harsh, some are mild, but they always come after fall. That isn't going to change. Sometimes you can figure things out. Sometimes there's no way to figure them out. Sometimes life runs smoothly. Sometimes it knots up. Sometimes you move forward. Sometimes you go in reverse. That's not going to change. The last 6,000 years of history read like this: opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how it's always been. It isn't going to change. So the man says, if it isn't going to change, how will my life ever change? The answer, when you change, whether I'm talking to high school students or business executives. My message is always the same. The only way it gets better for you is when you get better. Let me give you 4 major lessons in life. 4 majors. It's good to study the majors. In our weekend seminar, we teach that some people don't do well because they major in minor things. You have to be on the lookout. At the end of every week, at the end of every month, check to make sure you're not spending major time on minor things. We go through that whole concept. Majors and minors. Now, let me give you 2 phrases before we get to the 4 majors. These will set it up, and you'll see where I'm going. 2 key phrases for your notes first. Life and business are like the changing seasons. That's the first phrase. One of the best ways to describe life, it's like the seasons. Frank Sinatra. Life is like seasons. Now, here's the second phrase. Very important, you cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And see, that's how life gets better for you. Not by chance, but by change. Now, here are the 4 major lessons in life to learn. I've got my first book finished. It came out a couple of weeks ago. This is in it. The 4 major lessons in life to learn. Here they are. Number 1. Learn how to handle the winters. That's lesson 1. They come right after fall with regularity. Some are long, some are short. Some are hard, some are easy. But they keep coming. You must learn to handle the nights. They come right after days. You must learn to handle difficulty. It comes right after opportunity. You must learn to handle recessions. They always follow progressions. For the last 6,000 years that hasn't changed. And it won't. The lesson you must learn is how to handle it. And there are all kinds of winters, right? The winter when you can't figure it out. The winter when it all falls apart. The winter when everything turns upside down. The winter when nothing works. When you've run out of money and you've got a broken heart. See, those are winter times. Economic winters, social winters, personal winters. When your heart is shattered in 1,000 pieces and the nights are unusually long. When your prayers seem to go no higher than your head. That's winter. Barbara Streisand sings. It used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lie on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love songs. You don't say you need me. And you don't bring me flowers anymore. A song of winter. But see, disappointments come. That's normal. That's part of life. But the question is, how do you handle it? How do you handle the coming winters, the disappointments, the down times? Well, you can't get rid of January by tearing it off the calendar. But here's what you can do. You can get stronger. You can get wiser. You can get better. The winters won't change, but you can. And that's how life changes for you. See, before I understood this, when it was winter, I used to wish it was summer. I didn't understand. When it was hard, I used to wish it was easy. No, I didn't know. And then Mr. Schaaf gave me a part of his very unique philosophy. He said, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. See, that triggered my whole life change. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. That's the key. So that's lesson 1. Learn how to handle the winters. Here's lesson 2. Learn how to take advantage of the spring. That's the second one. Spring is called opportunity. And spring follows winter. What a great place for it. If you were going to put it somewhere, that'd be the place. Right after winter. And how often does spring follow winter? Every year with regularity. For 6,000 years. You can almost count on it. See, opportunity always comes. Days follow nights. Isn't that terrific? Opportunity follows difficulty. But here's what you must learn to do. Underline these two words in that key phrase to take advantage. Underline those two. You must learn to take advantage of the spring. See, just because spring rolls around is no sign you're going to look good come fall. You've got to do something with it. In fact, you have to get good at one of two things in life: a planting in the spring or begging in the fall. Or get somebody to do it for you. See, those are about the only alternatives. Now, here's what else you must do: take advantage of the springs quickly, because there are only a few. Just a handful of springs are handed to each of us. They don't come forever. Life is fairly brief, so you've got to read every book you can get your hands on. Learn what to do with your springs while they're here. Take advantage. They soon run out. The Beatles wrote a life is so short, and for John Lennon, it was extra short. But life is brief. Elton John sings, "She lived her life like a candle in the wind." It's brief. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you've got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass. Pass. Some of the greatest fortunes in the world were made after someone turned 50, 60, because now they've got all this experience. Now, when an idea comes, they invest 50 years. They invest 60 years in this idea, and it explodes. So as maturity comes along, what a great time to come up with good ideas, because now you can maximize their possibilities with your maturity and what you already know. So be eager to grasp that next idea. See, it could explode your health, explode your life. It could start a whole new realm of future for you, at dimensions you never even thought of. The next idea, the next couple of ideas. So be eager to learn, no matter how rich you are, how healthy you are, where you are. No matter what, be eager for that next idea. Some of you have been teaching, like I have, for years and years and years. But be ready for your next idea could be a game changer. It might take your teaching career to a whole new level, because of where you are, your age, your maturity, and the effort you put in. Who knows what kind of impact you could make? The next step you take might multiply your influence and expand your ability to change lives in ways you never imagined. Now, here's what I'd also ask of you: save your arguments for later. I wish we had time to debate every point I'll cover, but we don't. A lot of these ideas are open to debate. Nobody understands that better than me. I've spent years defending my perspective while also listening to other points of view. But for now, let's hold off on debating because we need to move forward. That said, debating major issues is critical. Some ideas are clear and make sense right away, but others require discussion. And what's valuable? Engaging in that discussion with others. In Israel, debate is a key part of learning. If you step into a classroom there, it might sound chaotic, but it's not. Students take different sides of an argument, challenging each other. One person presents an idea, another argues against it, pointing out what was missed. The debate continues back and forth until both sides gain new insights. That's the power of debate. So, when it comes to major life issues, especially health, debate matters. Health science is constantly evolving. One book claims a certain method guarantees longevity, while another says the same method will shorten your life. What should you do? It's simple: take notes. Be a student, not just a follower. That's key. Don't blindly follow anyone except the Lord. Otherwise, you might find yourself in Waco, Texas. If two books present conflicting health advice, don't just pick one side. Read both. Study them. Analyze them. Extract the useful elements from each and develop your own approach. That's some of the best advice I can give. Ensure that every decision you make is based on your own conclusions. Whatever you pursue, whether it's financial success, personal health, family growth, or spiritual development, make sure your actions stem from your own careful consideration. That means weighing different perspectives, processing the knowledge you gain, and merging it with your own understanding. Here's why this matters. No single voice has all the answers. I certainly don't. I can only offer my viewpoint. But what if I show you something from a new angle? If you've never considered it that way before, you might gain insight. Seeing something from my perspective doesn't mean it's the perspective. It's just a perspective. And sometimes a fresh perspective makes all the difference. Now, let me share the skill that changed my life: sales. Learning how to present a product or service to the marketplace transformed everything for me. In my first year, I multiplied my income 5 times over. Why? Because I added a new skill. Before, I only knew how to milk cows. Then, I learned how to sell. And that changed everything. So, here's my advice: to be eager to learn. Hold your arguments for later, but engage in real debate. Ask yourself, is this right for me? Do I have the temperament? Should I start now or wait? Keep turning these questions over in your mind until you reach your own decision. That's how growth happens.